Like it could be an industry where people are paid fairly, where people make living wages, where consumers have clothes that fit their bodies. It
Mhm.
could be an industry that is really, it could lead as a non-polluting industry, as a non-human rights violating industry, right? We
Mhm.
just have to show that it can be done, remind people that this is possible, and then actually do it. And so I feel like if we do it here in New York, then it becomes a replicable model. But sometimes it's like really just shaking the blinders off of people and just getting them to imagine that there's something else that can be done. And here's
Mhm.
our pilot and our model showing that it's possible.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Susty Soul. I am here today with Ngozi, who is the founder of Custom Collaborative. Welcome to the show, Ngozi.
Thank you. Thank you. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Me too. So, guys, for those of you who are not who isn't familiar with Ngozi and what she does, Custom Collaborative is doing a lot of great work, specifically here in New York City. And I'm gonna let Ngozi talk more deeply about it. But I am so honored to have her on my show. She's doing a lot of great work. So let's get to it, shall we?
For
Um,
sure.
so yeah, Ngozi, just go ahead, give everyone a brief introduction of yourself and Custom Collaborative.
Sure. Custom Collaborative is a entrepreneurship program, really a social enterprise that supports women from low income and immigrant communities develop businesses and careers in sustainable fashion. And so we train them primarily for entrepreneurship, but really believe that if you are trained and understand how to be a business owner, you'll actually be a great employee as well. We've got 3 programs: a 14-week training institute where women learn to design, sew, and sell sustainable fashion, uh, a business incubator where people can from our training program can come and work with us and get more skills and more experience, get jobs, placed in jobs, and then also get contracted work. We are able to put that together because we accept jobs from designers and small and emerging designers and manufacturers. And so they come to us with an order, and then we work with our training institute graduates on it. And then the third program that we have is an employee-owned cooperative. So we've got a cooperative space in New York City in East Harlem, and there 8 women are developing contract manufacturing, really a production facility. So we're really excited about that. We've been around since 2016. Actually, our first training class started October 31st, 2016. So we've been here 3 years, and it's just really growing by leaps and bounds.
No, that's awesome. I've been seeing a lot of your activity on social media. So there's so many good things happening for Custom Collaborative. So it's all super exciting. So yeah, how did it all start? What made you what inspired you to start Custom Collaborative?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I should say about myself, I love fashion. I'm a huge believer in justice. I believe I love fashion. I mean, justice actually more than I love fashion.
Okay.
And I am an environmentalist and a problem solver. I am very tall. And so at some point, I started having my clothes made. And the woman who was making clothes for me was charging me a really low price, but she was really doing beautiful work. And
Mhm.
people would always comment and ask, like, oh, how can I get a dress like that? Where did you get that suit? And so I just thought, if we can connect this woman with customers who want clothes that fit and affirm their bodies, then this designer and others like her and others who could be trained to be like her could make a lot of money for themselves and for their communities, and people could have clothes that fit them and fit their style. So that was really the impetus of it. And for about um, a year or so, I talked about it and thought about it and wrote about it. And then
Mm.
I guess in 2015, really started putting things on paper, engaging more people, developing curriculum, and started raising money for it. And things just rolled out from there.
Oh, awesome. So, so with it, I know like you guys did a documentary. So talk about that because it was like so good. It was actually really emotional. So, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because it is for me as well. I just did a presentation on Saturday at LIM College, and we
Mhm.
showed the documentary as um, part of the talk, and I teared up because it's just like so real, and it's people telling their true stories.
Right.
We were actually really very fortunate to get that documentary made thanks to a great team at His Productions.
Okay.
We found them on International Women's Day in 2018, and one of the partners was holding up a sign saying, "We need more women directors." And we knew that we needed a movie. And so then my colleague, Brenna, went to her and said, like, "Oh, well, are you a woman director? Because we need a film made for free," which sounds like, slightly unattractive, but
I
it
love
worked out.
it.
Right? They heard about what we were doing. They came in, they had like this whole great production and direction. It was like really amazing. And that's how
Mhm.
we got that film. And it's been so integral in telling our story. In September, we were at the Los
Yeah.
Angeles Fashion Film Festival because it was an entry. And then next week or this week, it will be shown at the Milano Fashion Film Festival
Oh, that's
because it's an
amazing.
entry there. Yeah, it's really, really exciting.
So cool. Wow. So do you guys like intend to make more documentaries or have you like thought about doing that or
Yeah, definitely. We would love to. I mean, because that it's like such an easy way to tell a story. And our documentary is a little over 3 minutes, and so it keeps people's attention. I really hope
Mhm.
that we can have another documentary. His produced this as a public service. So when we put together a budget, I want to hire them and pay them because I
Yeah.
fundamentally believe that people should be paid for their work, right? I don't expect
Yeah.
anybody to do anything for free forever.
Yeah.
But we would definitely want to do it, and their values are aligned with ours, and we trust them, and they get it. So it would be great to
Mhm.
do another one.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So like in terms of so I mean the impact is definitely clear like what custom collab is doing. So it's just like else is what do you want the impact to be like in terms of like outside of what you're currently doing, is there a larger impact that you want to make? And it's like, do you like
Absolutely,
see it growing like after like what is that for you like at this stage?
for sure. I mean, we want to expand
Mm-hmm.
and scale and serve as a model. And when I say a model, like a model of what the fashion industry could actually be. Like it could be an industry where people are paid fairly, where people make living wages, where consumers have clothes that fit their bodies. It
Mm-hmm.
could be an industry that is really, it could lead as a non-polluting industry, as a non-human rights violating industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just have to show that it can be done, remind people that this is possible, and then actually do it. And so I feel like if we do it here in New York, then it becomes a replicable model. But sometimes it's like really just shaking the blinders off of people and just getting them to imagine that there's something else that can be done. And
Mm-hmm.
here's our pilot and our model showing that it's possible.
Right. Absolutely. So like when you were like building custom collab, like did you run into any like roadblocks or any that you're willing to share? Because I could imagine that it might have been like definitely a road. So what kind of like walls have you hit? Like, did you find it like difficult starting custom collab at all, or anything that you felt could have been like avoided when you were building?
Yeah,
It?
yeah, sure. That's a great question. I mean, one thing that was difficult is initially I would talk to people about it.
Mhm.
And then I talked to a mentor of mine one day and I was talking to him about it, I guess like for the second or third time. He's like, "Oh, well, do you have a piece of paper I was like, oh, what do you mean? He's like, well, have you written it down? I was like, oh, no, I sure haven't. What a great idea, right? Like, why hadn't I thought of that 12 months before? And so then I wrote it down. I was able to share it with people. And even my husband was like, oh, I didn't know this was going on, right? So I had had this idea for 12 months, and it was all worked out in my head, or at least in large part. And I couldn't properly share it with people because it wasn't written down. So nobody else could be excited about it or engage in it or refer back to it. And so from the moment I did that, I was able to get more people excited and helping me think about it and working out the kinks. I would also say that, helped with funding, right? Because you want to be able to tell anybody or any organization who's going to invest what it is you're doing, why, what the timeline is. And so at one point I was like updating my concept paper like every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. And so now we're at the point where we're 3 years in, we've had some, business plans. We just finished a professional strategic plan by this great organization, CRE, and
Nice.
we'll have like our final document in December. And so then from that, we can do some more business planning, but really look at what our next 3 years will be and where we need to invest our resources and who we need to partner with. So really planning on a piece of paper outside of your head, super
Yeah.
important, and then also figuring out where's your funding going to come from.
Right.
Funding is harder for women. It's definitely harder for women of color to get funding,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew that going in, and there were a few trusted people who believed in the vision and who believe in doing better for low income and immigrant women and families and have been invested, and then others have followed along as they've seen that this is really viable.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. No, I can totally imagine, because like the impact of like the long-term goal is like so much greater. So it's like pushing through that. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Right.
So throughout all the stories for the designers that you've worked with and shared so far, are there any specific ones that just like kind of left you in awe? I mean, I imagine so many of them have, but I guess like is there like one story that just really touched you like outside of any of the other designers?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like every time I turn around, there's another story.
Yeah.
So I mentioned our employee, our worker owned cooperative. And so the group had a meeting in October.
Mhm.
And one of the women, as she was walking out the door, was like, oh, yeah, you guys, I have some really good news. I was making some tote bags, and the tote bags that I made and sold just allowed me to pay the rent on my new apartment.
Oh my
So this
god.
lady had been living in a shelter, right?
Mhm.
She had experienced domestic violence. She was in a
Mhm.
shelter with her daughter,
Mhm.
moved out of the shelter, and the income that she used to pay for her rent
Mhm.
was selling handbags that she learned how to make from us. And so that for me, that was just like so overwhelming. I was blown away. I was like, well, I
Yeah.
mean, because in the training program, the handbag is the first project, our tote bag. It's the first project that they do, but it's just
Mhm.
like she was able to figure out how to make it compelling, how to
Mhm.
get the market and put a vision together and just get out there and make it happen. And so I was really proud of her for that. And of all the people who helped her get there, which includes her like instructors, the folks in the incubator, even, she said the first tote bag that she sold was to her counselor when she was in the shelter, right? And so
Oh,
to me,
wow.
it's like, okay, we need a community of women to uplift each other. And then what had seemed at one point impossible is now possible. So
Mhm.
like that to me is a great story. And of course she made it from upcycled materials.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So like, so I mean, so yeah, because I mean, I know for me, I'm so emotional. Like if if I hear like so many stories, I would just be like crying like every day,
You
because it's so
know?
real. Like honestly, seriously, because it's so real, and like you just never know, like how you're touching people's lives, and these are really big. This is a big deal for a lot of women. So it's just all really beautiful. So kudos to you, and like really making this happen for these women. Um,
Thank you.
yeah. So just to like continue the conversation around upcycling, just in terms of sustainability, like it's so daunting. It's a lot for everyone, especially with climate change and stuff, and the injustices, environmental justice, climate justice, and things like that. Like, um, how do you cope with all of it? And then, like, with your responsibility running Custom Collaborative, how do you cope with it all? Being an informed woman and also being an informed woman of color, as an environmentalist, like how do you cope with it all? Because you have a clear understanding of what's happening on the planet now
Mm-hmm.
and in society in relation to sustainability. How do you cope? Because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's so
Mm-hmm.
many of us in this space, and it's just it's sustainability itself is a lot, and then existing as a person of color is a whole other experience. So how do you cope, Ngozi, with like everything that's going on? If you have any like tips that you can like share with us, and me too, like anything you could share, like how do you cope with it all?
Yeah, for sure. One thing that I have to remind myself is to breathe because we're
Yeah.
doing a lot of things and I'm pulled in this way and that way. And like every once in a while, I'll be sitting at my desk and my heart is racing. I'm like, why is this happening? It's just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm overwhelmed with what's going on. And so
Mm-hmm.
then I actually have a timer on my computer that like every 15 minutes it tells me like to stop looking at the screen for 15 seconds.
Oh.
And yeah, and so then I use that time to breathe. I also think it's important for me to pray, and I sometimes forget to pray until like something happens, like
Yeah.
a woman who I knew was one of those people who could like pray without ceasing, and it was amazing. I haven't gotten to that stage yet, and I don't even know if I will, but it's a great reminder. I'm fortunate that I have a really great husband, Eric, who's
Mm-hmm.
excellent at praying and at meditation and breathing. So he is a guide for me and really a beacon. And then I guess externally, thinking about climate change and the effects that it has on us and the
Mm-hmm.
people on coast and in forest around the world, it can be overwhelming. And I just try to, whenever possible, um, educate others as to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's important for us to recycle and not waste and turn off the lights. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also important for us to pressure the companies and the industries who are causing so much harm to pressure them to go a different direction. And if we can be on Instagram and Twitter or on the phone messaging them instead of like, you know, poking and bickering at each other,
Right.
that will go a long way, right? If we decide we do not want to support companies that are treating people poorly,
Mm-hmm.
and we make that known, that will have an impact. We just have to figure out collectively, what do we stand for? What are we going to do? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's important to like not feel helpless and to realize that there are others who feel the same way
Yeah.
and not just curl in a ball, but figure out what we can do in our spaces. That's what I try to do.
Yeah, no, that's definitely important. I couldn't agree more. Like, I feel like self-care for anyone who is involved in sustainability in one way or another, I feel like it can be a lot, and definitely making sure your spiritual life is in alignment. That's something that's very important for me as well. I'm actually trying to fix that myself, like, because I
Hmm.
understand that, that's how you sustain yourself, and being an informed individual and understanding the problem. And then, the next level is, like, just like you were saying, like, how do we fix this together? Is definitely like a next step towards that.
For
So,
sure.
so in like terms of resources, for anyone who is looking to, start a similar organization such as Custom Collab, or someone who is looking to really get involved in the sort of sustainable fashion and justice space, like, do you have any like resources that you're willing to share with the audience, or any sort of like valuable points for people looking to start like a nonprofit and build a similar organization?
Yeah, a lot that I've learned the hard way because I didn't have a guide. I mean, I was fortunate that I've worked in nonprofit for a while, so that was helpful.
Okay.
And then before that, I worked in fashion like a million years ago. But I would go back to like what I said earlier is like write it down and plan a lot. And
Yeah.
you have your plan A, and then you're also going to have your contingency plan because your plan A is not going to go the way you wanted it to do, or you will find out some new information that will affect um, your process. For me, early on, I was applying for funding, and one particular grant that I applied for wanted me to identify 3 or 5 organizations that were similar to Custom Collaborative, and to say like, and what these organizations did and how would Custom Collaborative differentiate itself, which was a really great exercise because one, not only did I get to know the field, but I was also able to see like, oh, there is a gap here. And so if I had done that and saw that there were 2 organizations doing the exact same thing, I wouldn't have done it, but it would have saved a lot of my time and energy. I found out that there was nobody else doing what we do. So it was great, but it's really important to know what's going on in the field. So I would suggest that everybody do that, whether it's like a for-profit or a nonprofit, to find out who else is doing what you want to do and what differentiates you. Like, why are you the expert? Why are you the best person to do this thing at this time in this place?
Yeah, definitely. So I know you had the Fashionable Campaign back in September, right? Was that in September?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Is that still going on, or is that still
Yeah,
going
so
on?
that campaign, yeah, is not going on right
Okay.
now. We achieved our goal. Our goal was $10,000. We raised
Yay!
10,410. I was very excited about that. I was
Yay!
very nervous. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. It was our biggest goal ever. Like in prior campaigns, I think this is our 5th one. We had a
Okay.
goal of 5,000, and so like we really were like, let's just shoot for the moon. We've got this grand
Yeah.
opening. It's New York Fashion Week in
Yeah.
September. Yeah, so we did it. So we will have something exciting going on in the spring.
Okay.
And from what I understand, it will be with a modeling agency, which will be, I think, really cool. It will help
Ooh.
with visibility and, help like people see other facets
Yeah.
of the industry and other issues. And
Mhm.
of course, we will have an end of year appeal like all nonprofits. So probably starting Thanksgiving, we'll do our end of year fundraising, and
Okay.
we may have some, interesting giveaways and packages with that. But anybody can find out on our website, customcollaborative.org.
Okay, awesome. So, is there anything else you want the audience to know in terms of like how they can support Custom Collab? Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
oh,
And there's so many ways people can support, right? Like, so
yeah.
today we're getting, well, I guess, some fabric from Michael Kors donated, sent
Oh,
over from
nice.
Italy. Right. But like, that's a
Ooh.
company. We also have individuals will bring us fabric. We have a first fabric Friday, so people can come by our studio and see what's going on. If they have like fabric or notions or
Oh,
supplies to drop
great.
off, yeah, we take that. And of course, Michael Kors is new to us, but there are places, who've been with us, for a while. Hanky Panky, Mara Hoffman, Eileen Fisher,
Yeah.
like largely women-owned businesses, and they're, I think, leading the way in terms of sustainability, but also like fairness and justice in the work chain. So we're really excited to have, partners, and they support us, and people support us with money, volunteering, with goods. So it's really a robust, there's a robust program, and ways for people to engage all across the board.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And by the way, the grand opening, it was so good. I really, really enjoyed myself. But what was really touching about the grand opening is that so many people came out, and so you had like so much love. So it just goes to show you like how much custom collab was needed, and like I feel like it's kind of like a it's kind of like a pre-showing of what's to come. I feel like it's just going to like grow and grow and grow. So just letting you know, like that was an amazing event. So it was just really, really wonderful. All the people that came out, it was
Thank you. Yeah,
wonderful.
thank you so much. I told you, like, I worry about everything and I get
Aw,
nervous. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, nobody's going to come. And I was
aw.
just like, oh my gosh, there's so many people here. Do we have enough air conditioning? But it was really great to see like the local community, the
Yeah,
fashion community,
yeah,
we had some elected officials here. It was so great to see people come
yeah,
out and really want to support and believe in something.
yeah.
So it's been amazing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was so inspiring. It was just like uplifting for me too. I was just like, wow, like, it's just I don't know. I felt really empowered by all of it, just seeing how what hard work does, and when you just have a vision, when you're passionate about something, especially with like the whole purpose behind custom collab, like, and then just seeing the response to that, it was just really, really inspiring. So I was honored that to be able to attend. So I was happy to have like been there and witnessed that. So I can't wait for the
Yeah.
next ones, the
I
next
know, right?
one you guys have.
For
Um,
sure. No, thank you for coming and for bringing good energy and for inviting me to be on the podcast. This is
yeah,
great.
absolutely. So so tell us something about yourself that no one else knows. Like, well, okay, not no one else knows, but like anything silly or serious, like outside of the professional Ngozi. Who's Ngozi?
Mm, outside of the profession. So I feel like there are a couple of things that I really, really love, and one of
Mm.
them is reading.
Oh,
I would really prefer to spend all of my days like reading by myself, not talking.
uh-huh. Hello?
Also really loved textiles. As I was growing up, my mom sewed, and so like every Saturday I would be like in one fabric store or another. But because of that, like I I have an appreciation for color and texture and figuring out what what things will look good. So like that's really important to me. I mean I would love to do more creating, but I hardly ever get a chance to sew now. At one point I made myself a challenge like, oh, I'm gonna sew at least one seam every day. And at this point I would be happy if I could sew one seam per month. But I do like to be creative and to like visualize things and work with my hands.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So in terms of like books, like do you have like a favorite book of all time?
I was just thinking about that today.
Oh yeah.
I woke up overly early and started reading something, an article about Toni Morrison, and she was
Mm,
absolutely my favorite author,
yeah,
hands down.
yeah.
And so I would say that there's like a character that has stuck the most with me. That's Pecola Breedlove from The Bluest Eye, but actually my
Mm,
favorite book,
mm,
I think it was Paradise
aw,
by Toni Morrison.
okay,
Hmm.
awesome. So I actually want to start getting more into books. So I always ask you, I was like, so what was your favorite book? What was your favorite
Right,
book?
right, right. Okay, well, don't start with Toni Morrison because some people don't like her books. They feel like they're too complex and you have to like go
Yeah,
back and read stuff again.
yeah.
Um, but
Okay.
there's plenty of other good books. I would say
Hmm.
Half a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda
Okay, okay,
Adichie. That's a great book. That's better than Americana. That's a really
okay.
great book. Read that book.
Oh, okay, because I
Yeah.
have Americana. Okay, so
Hmm.
I haven't gotten through Americana yet, but okay. Now hearing it from you,
Hmm.
I'll be like, okay, I'll definitely check it out.
Okay. Right.
Oh, so Ngozi, like tell everyone how they can reach you. I know you already mentioned the website, but just tell them all, like your whatever email you want them to reach out to, Instagram, everything. How can they reach
Yeah.
Custom Collab?
For sure. So Instagram is a really great place to reach out to us, at custom COLAB, custom collab with 1L. That is great. Message us there. Also, if people email info at custom collaborative, that's a good way to get in touch with us. And there's also a page on our website. Contact us if you put send us a message there. that'll get to us too. We really like to engage with people around the things that are important to us. So, like, really, it's women, community development, economic development, and fashion. So we're open to hearing lots of ideas and meeting new people.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ngozi. I'm like so excited. Like I was finally able to talk to you, so I'm so honored. Again, thank you so much. I'm just happy that I was able to finally chat with you and have you on the show, and I can't wait for more and more people to learn about you. And so, for the audience, all you guys, now you have their contacts, and please reach out to Custom Collab and support them. They're doing a lot of great things. Thank you so much, Ngozi.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great evening.